Hello Nigeria, I am Chiamaka and this is Roots TV. As we all know, the PDP is the current opposition party in Nigeria, with the APC taking the lead. However, there are strong indications to suggest that the PDP is making a very strong comeback. One of the major frontline candidates is Atiku Abubakar. However, today we have with us an analytical thinker, a man who has all the answers, and a spokesperson for Atiku Abubakar, Mr. Segun Sowunmi. It's nice to have you, Mr. Sowunmi.
It's a pleasure. It's nice to have you, Chiamaka.
Thank you. As we all know, the political terrain in Nigeria is shifting such that the PDP is coming out on top and it appears to be making a comeback. How excited are you about the concept?
You see this man here, Chiamaka? This man here?
Yes.
That's your next president. His name is Waziri Atiku Abubakar, former Vice President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, by the grace of God, with the help of all of you Nigerians and the members of the international community and the friends of Nigeria, potentially the next president.
How confident is the Atiku team that he's going to come out on top in 2019?
There are two hurdles that we have to cross. One of them is very close by now, and the other one is almost like a walkover. But the challenge is that we have to cross the first one first before we can basically just dance into the other. We need to do the primaries. In a couple of weeks' time, 2 weeks max, the People's Democratic Party of Nigeria will be presented with an opportunity to pick one candidate of all of the aspirants, about 13 of them at the last count, who are jostling to be the flag bearer of the party. And once that hurdle is crossed, then we can then go challenge Muhammadu Buhari, the candidate of the APC, for the general election. And I think that if the PDP, my party, our party, the biggest and the most democratic institution in sub-Saharan Africa that represents the totality of the emotions of the Nigerian people, will do the right thing by running a free, fair, transparent, all-inclusive primaries, then Atiku will win.
Currently, the APC is somewhat in a state of disarray, and it appears most of the candidates have defected from the APC to the PDP and other parties. Now, while this might seem like a good thing, many people say it spells trouble for Atiku and other candidates. Now, a lot of political elite members and bigwig candidates have made their way to the APC and to the PDP, including Saraki and Tambuwal. So, how does Atiku plan on conquering these candidates and making his way to the primary election victory?
The business of getting a candidate to win a primary election starts with first when he indicates his intention. Those who understand the dynamics of the politics of Nigeria and the movement around the political party will see that Atiku Abubakar returned to the PDP, the party he helped fund, the party underneath which he served as vice president for 8 years, before the convention that produced the existing National Executive Committee. And that gave him the opportunity to integrate himself very quickly. And as a political colossus who understands what it means to manage and participate in a democratic process, he didn't come in making unnecessary demands from the party. He simply rejoined the party. He announced to the Nigerians and to the whole world that he was leaving APC for PDP. He rejoined the party in his ward. He rejoined the party in his state. And he joined the party back at the National for the Convention, and he just went all out to visit the leaders, to collaborate with them, to have meetings with them, to engage them, and today, he's like the darling of everybody.
The one thing Atiku has in common with Buhari is his experience. And he has age on his side, and from your analysis, he's in fact an experienced politician par excellence. But I need to ask, considering the fact that he is in fact advanced in age, do you not think that is going to be a stumbling block? Do you not think currently the youth of Nigeria who are rallying to have a young leader, someone who can compete on the international stage with the Obamas of this world, will rally behind him?
You see, age is not going to be the only prerequisite that determines the capability or the preparedness to do the responsibility of a president in Nigeria. Those who compare Nigeria with some of the developed economies that are training up young boys and pretty young people like Canada and France and all of those areas, they forget one critical thing. In all of those places, the infrastructure challenges there are very low. They have a definite policy on how they manage education. Their housing, integration, and accessibility policies are clear. The social stabilization issues of those countries are very well grinding. Therefore, any well-trained, ready, and planned and prepared young man may be able to carry out the functions of president because the institution behind him is very strong. The difference with Nigeria is that Nigeria has a lot of work to do to mentor and prepare for succession. For really, time and age will take away the capacity and the agility of some of their older leaders. But there is an urgency to put a transformational leader in charge now who understands what is required. And what are those things that are required? You need a leader that can quickly stabilize the country. You need a leader that can unite the country. You need a leader that understands the country. You need a leader that can secure the country. You need a leader that can plan succession. You need a leader that can transform the nation and unleash his energy to be able to give younger people the opportunity to now lead it. If you put an inexperienced young person in the country now on top of it, one of the things you are going to see as a result of the consequence of the mismanagement of the past is that he's going to struggle a lot. And there are many ideas that they do not know have been tested and considered not to be workable in this country that they will be playing with. And because of the ethnic divide and the religious divide and the excessive disunity in the country, he's just going to be having all sorts of problems. And what Atiku has said to allay the fears of young people and to assure them is that, one, he said, and I am trying to quote him, maybe verbatim or maybe slightly out of verbatim, that bring me a watertight legal document and I will sign it that I will go one term. First point. Give me the opportunity to be president and I will help restructure and stabilize the country so that restructuring can bring growth, development, peace, and unity for every part of the country, including stability. And he has also said, I subscribe to giving 40% of every appointment to young people. He's not bandying words and figures. He's saying that because he understands you need to bring the young people in, mentor them, and give them the opportunity to understudy how government works in practice. For there is a difference between the lullaby tales they tell themselves as to the challenges of wielding authority of state and the reality of sitting on the chair and trying to solve the problem. And therefore, I think with an Atiku Abubakar as president, Nigeria will be ready to unleash the energies.
So, you speak on the issue of experience, and so we laud Atiku for his experience, but Saraki has experience, and Tambuwal has experience, and Buhari has experience, and all the major players in the game, in fact, come with a wealth of experience. So what does Atiku have that every other person in the PDP and across other political parties vying for the position of president do not have? And why should I, as an average Nigerian, armed with my PVC, vote for Atiku?
What do they have, and what does he have uniquely differentiating him? Thank you. Let me start. For you to be able to run this country well, you need some experience in public service. Because what public service will teach you is how to run the procedures and do the administrative things that being a governor never teaches you because other people are the ones doing that. Atiku is a former senior administrator rising to the rank of a deputy director in the Nigerian Customs Service, which is equivalent to Deputy Controller General of Customs. That's work in public service. Atiku has also, for you to be able to run Nigeria and get Nigeria to be able to leapfrog the way we see other nations going now, where private sectors are the drivers of all economy. If you are going to sit in the authority of a nation to do that, you need to have created business, run business, created jobs, paid salary. As at today, Atiku has created more jobs than anybody that is politically exposed in this country. At the last count, he has about 50 to 60,000 people on payroll and about 250 to 300,000 on indirect jobs, creating jobs in almost every genre, every area, every industry, in housing, in logistics, in school, in agriculture, in media, in advertising, in printing, in education. So, if you want to rule Nigeria and lead Nigeria now, for no fault of Atiku's, you need a leader that has strong roots and relationship with many aspects of the Nigerian nation, such that it has something to tap to assure them that the nation will belong to everybody and everybody will feel included. Atiku is related to the Yorubas by more than 30, 40 years of marriage, with his first children being half Yorubas and half Fulani. Atiku is related to the South-South by more than 30 years of being a very strong investor and a business partner there, such that he's never had any issues there. It's almost like his second home is in the South-South. Atiku is related to the Middle Belt. The highest title that signifies that he is the umbrella of the Tiv people was granted him in the Middle Belt, signifying the level of respect that they have built among themselves. Atiku is related to the Southeast by marriage, and some of his children are Igbos, half Igbos and half Fulani. Atiku is related to the traditional institution because as the Waziri of Adamawa, he's the prime minister of a very big emirate. When you count all the northern emirates in the country, you will remember the emirate of the Lamido of Adamawa being significant. Atiku is the Waziri. So he understands the working of the traditional Hausa, Fulani traditional institution. Atiku is related to businesses because all the businessmen in the country who are creating value for the country understand, and he also understands the burden they bear and the challenges involved. Atiku is also a politician's politician who has always stood with politics that is progressive and fights for the country.
But I have to ask, what are Atiku's thoughts on the leadership style of the current administration?
I think that Atiku, having participated in that primaries that threw him up, must have restrained himself a lot, knowing fully well that those who had to take the decision on who the candidates should be, I mean the APC people of 2014, were making a grave mistake. But what could he have done? He presented himself as a candidate, and they chose someone else. So at best, he will have to wait and see whether Buhari was going to live up to the great expectation of the Nigerian people in governance. And Nigerians, you be the judge of that. We bought rice for a certain amount of money in 1995. You all know how you're buying a bag of rice now. We exchanged dollar for maybe 195 in 1995. You all know how much you're exchanging it for now, maybe 360. You all know how much you earned. He's never increased salary. He's never bothered. We sold petrol for a certain amount of money in 2015. You all know how much you're buying it. You're buying it 145 when you can get it. So in all material particulars, he has unfortunately allowed himself to be either hijacked by never-do-wells who have run riot over his vision and his plan, and because he gave room for that level of parochialism when he said there are 95% and 5%, and so those who consider themselves to be the favorites of his government suddenly took over the whole thing and started just doing whatever they liked. And sometimes one pities him for it's not easy for anyone to come into public space, into political office, in the presidency after trying a couple of times, and with a lot of hope that people have on you, and you just dashed it completely. And then, unfortunately, your party still thinks you should go do another tenure. So it's a double jeopardy. In one breath, he must know that he's not standing exactly in that place where he was standing, where the entire Nigeria wanted him. And in another breath, he has to fake it and try and give the impression that he's ready to do another term. We have no business worrying about how Buhari is doing and what he's doing and what he's doing. Every indicator suggests that we have done worse. What's it called? Transparency International, we're worse. Poverty indices, we're worse. All the metrics, all. Even the country's diplomacy, countries who spoke to us with tongue in check, now call us lifeless. People who don't even dare have an opinion that is too strong around us, now use adjective in Ghana like, oh, this is not Nigeria where cattle are better than. Come on. We are falling so low, much lower than what we can ever expect ourselves to fall.
Speaking of pending issues, now we all know that some of the major problems we have border on insecurity, corruption, and honestly, without mincing words, hunger in the land. Nigerians are hungry. As Theresa May will put it, slowly but surely, Nigeria is becoming the poverty capital of the world. So, what is Atiku's plan, and does he have a plan?
In the first instance, Atiku has created and he has spoken loudly that he plans to run on 4 critical thematic headings. And these 4 headings encapsulate the entire solution to the majority of the problem Nigeria faces. The first, which will solve the problem that you're talking about, that which Theresa May also talked about, which unfortunately became the lot of Nigeria because of the present occupiers of office, is job creation. Atiku says, I am going to put job creation as the central policy of government. Why? Because we need to move people out of poverty and we need to manage and right the unemployment issues in the country. Atiku says, I am going to open up the country's economy and the way of life of the people. That I am going to encourage, listen, private sector discipline to take charge and run the country in such a way that it's going to be like an investment hub, a construction hub, a job hub, a farmers market, an entrepreneurs field, a startup capital of Africa under opening up on opportunities. Chiamaka, spectacular, interesting time talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was quite interesting, and I hope they can deliver on their promises. Time will truly tell where all this will lead. 2019 is fast approaching. Who will win? Who will lose? Who will emerge the victor? We sit with rapt attention and wait for the results. Chiamaka, Roots TV, Abuja.